Hello again, welcome back. I really appreciate you taking the time to visit with me. My last video, we touched a little bit on it, and that was on acceptance. One thing for me that I had to accept is that I was not in Kansas anymore, and I had to strip off the old and put on the new. We're in a new place. I was living in Houston, Texas for a number of years. I'm talking like a decade. And even though we took the time to tour the place, fill it out for where we wanted to live, which we decided to live here, it's nothing like living here than when you do a visit. It's kind of like when you have your in-laws come visit you and stay a little bit, but now they have to live there. For those of you in that situation, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So I do recommend getting to learn the place. You don't have to do a full tour, like walking all the way miles and miles, but I do recommend walking or taking a bike and taking in the scenery. Learn about, the neighbors who have dogs, which is a big deal. That's something we will talk about soon. I promise you, dogs are a big issue out here in the rural area. But I do, like I said, I recommend just walk your block, learn, your neighbors, and you can learn a lot by just looking at the environment that they live in. And we'll just say that. Another thing is, here where I live, there is a particular color that my neighbors use, and they spray paint it either on their fence or they spray paint it on their trees. It's a particular color that means do not enter. And I'm so thankful that the friends that I did eventually make here, they let me know that you do not want to go up on their property. They strongly they strongly urge you not to come on their property. Thankfully, at times they will also have a sign that says, some interesting things, but basically it means the same, which is you're going to be trespassing if you go past this line. So you don't want to do that. It's different. A quick story that happened to me when I was living in Houston. We just moved into this cul-de-sac, which I didn't know what that was either. They are called neighborhoods where I live, but here it was called the cul-de-sac. And that's just a fancy way of saying, neighbors. And there was a certain shape that this particular area that were called cul-de-sacs always had. It was like a dead end kind of, or it's just a little neighborhood that you have one way in and one way out. And we first moved there, and there was a neighbor, very sweet, came in uninvited and knocked on the door, wanted to welcome us there, and she gave us a little plate of cookies, which was very sweet. But if you like me, I don't eat from people I don't know. I mean, if you do, you like it, I love it. But we in my family, well, me and my children, I should say, we don't just take anybody's food and say, and just stuff it down our throats. That wasn't something that we did. Where I'm from in upstate New York, we just did the nod, like, hey, how you doing? I see you. But that's as far as it went. Another neighborhood that I lived in, that neighbor, I had asked my husband the protocol, and I said, what is it when you see the same neighbor throughout the day? This guy, he would be outside having his coffee in the morning time, and when I would come back from running an errand, maybe 4 hours later, he was out with his cigarette or having a cigar. And I'm thinking, do I have to say hi every time I see you, or is once for the day enough? Or is this kind of like rude for me to just keep walking, or, wave or whatever, especially it being a man? I wasn't comfortable with that. So I just said hi. And again, we had driveways where I am there. So we just pulled up in our garage, and that was that. And it kept it easy. It was nice. And so that's one thing, is accept that you are in a new environment and learn quick about how to handle it. Next thing I would recommend is accept that you are now in Ruralville. This is an environment that I would recommend being friendly. It takes time. Like I said, we've been here for 7 years. People here, when I was driving, they would wave. Didn't know them, they just wave and just wave. And it reminded me of some sweet little TV show. For me, it was Heart of Dixie, and people just pleasant, and you're just like, okay. A lot of people waving around here. Okay, I'm gonna have to get used to that. So I wave, and we just kept it pushing. We just kept moving. Especially thing I would recommend. I understand we have some shy people, introverted, not really into doing what I'm recommending. Don't want to do that direct eye contact at the mailbox next to your neighbor and have a whole conversation about your day. Well, in that case, I would say when you're driving and you see your neighbors, depending on how close they are, like I said, we're in an acre, so it's not like 10 miles down the road. But like I can, as you guys can, I can hear my dogs, my neighbors' dogs and their roosters going on and on and on. So they're pretty close. If I see them in the driveway, or I obviously we made eye contact, I'll wave and say hello, and just keep moving on. That will make such a difference, because you know what? 7 years later, after all that waving and smiling and listening to my neighbor go on and on about different things that while I was out gardening and stuff, and I'm thinking, please go back home. You're distracting me. I have my audio books in my ears, and I just want to have a relaxing, quiet time right now while my kids are in school. But you know what? That neighbor was so loving. The different things that he had done for my family would take too long to go into, but let's just say that neighbor offered a ladder. My neighbor over here to this side of me, he helped me when I got stuck in a ditch, my own ditch. Okay, it was raining, I had a backup, tire spinning. He got his truck, connected it to us, pulled us out the ditch. Lovely, lovely. Thank you so much. Another thing he did was also, for a living, he clears bush. Amazing, right? So for free, he came over here and just cleared out some bush. So I'll show you. It's not so jungly. I want to sit here so y'all can see the forest, the jungle. And he cleared that out for us. Lovely, no charge, no nothing. Finally, another neighbor that now is considered a friend, not just an acquaintance. He has a tree cutting business. So not the tree that you saw there in the thumbnail. We're gonna talk about that. But I'm talking about the trees that are leaning or dead, and my neighbors are nervous now because it's kind of close to their house. He came and cut that down, and all he wanted was a nice Caribbean meal. And so you meet a lot of amazing people in the rural area. You just need to adjust your approach to the situation. So he would do that. That tree easy could have cost $800. Now, just to prove we're not mooches, there's certain things that neighbor got besides a nice Caribbean meal. My husband, he's into IT work. So he knows his computers and all the networking, all those geeky out things that I know nothing about. And so what he did was, he was able, because of his job, he was able to get an auctioned off computer. He was able to do software, all the things that would have cost $500. That tree that he cut down, that neighbor, that's now my friend, easily would have cost $800. So you see the give and take. We have another friends of ours that have duck eggs, that just too much on their farm. They're in overpopulation, so they give us honey, duck eggs, so many different things that we didn't even ask for it, but we love. And we also grow a lot of herbs that they're not really interested in. They didn't know exists. We have like lemongrass, different varieties of basil, like cinnamon, basil, oregano, all these things. So instead of coming with a bouquet of flowers, when they come and they leave our home, we give them a bouquet of different herbs, rosemary, excuse me, rosemary, you name it. I can keep herbs and cactuses alive. The other stuff is up to him. Tomatoes, that's another thing. I love cherry tomatoes. So we just made that our, giving trade kind of situation. Another thing to accept when you live around a lot of trees is you have to be alert. During the pandemic, it was either Hannah or Nicholas, one of them came over here, and I was looking out my window and I was just watching this thing going. You could tell that tree would have gone either way. It would have landed on our bedroom window, our bedroom, or it would have landed in the bushes that you see behind me. And I prayed, I said, please God. And all I heard next was a crack, snapple, and then a pop. And thank God that thing went back over there. And that's what you saw in the thumbnail. That is the tree that fell down almost on our property, and we don't have insurance on this thing, y'all. I mean, I don't know if you do, but right now we don't. And that would have been catastrophic. So I am so happy that we accepted this as our reality. You have to be really prepared, alert. As one of the first comment I saw was this one man. He listed different things he had, but the funniest thing is he said he had his survival shovel. Now, I don't think a shovel would have helped me in that situation, but I'm so glad we have neighbors that have all sorts of equipment, and they are so generous with it. So that's something I could say I really do appreciate about living out here in the rural. Next thing I would say is accept the positive things that are going on right now. Yes, it may be tough, but right now the most important thing is this is your land, and it will stay your land unless you don't pay those property tax, that land tax. Let's not forget that at the beginning of the year. At least that's what it is here. I rather that than a 30-year mortgage, and by that point, I mean, it's almost going to my kids because I'm gonna be so old. So I keep saying land because at this point, it doesn't matter if you pull up in an RV, a camper. I saw somebody living out of a school bus. I'm glad I don't have to see that school bus arrangement. I'm not trying to sound bougie, but I am happy that is way, way far away. But it was unique. People living in vans, y'all. So don't be discouraged. There's different ways that we can find out, you know, how get a she shed, do something, pull up in something, but know that the important things is this is yours and you made this happen, so accept it. I have something I want to share with you, and it's real brief. I googled the word acceptance, and I took this from the AI overview, and it says acceptance to fully, I'm gonna lean in because I'm competing with these birds. Okay, to fully acknowledge reality as it is without resistment, judgment, or wishing it were different, while still empowering yourself to take meaningful action or make necessary changes. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I really wished I was somewhere else. I had to adjust. My husband and I debated a little bit about whether we're gonna get a propane or electric heater. I am so glad he did not listen to me and he got that propane, because again, when these storms come through and the wind blows and they want to take the power out, but we can still eat, we can still get that hot water going, so we're able to fill up our tubs to the necessary amount, wash ourselves. Now, he told me what this was. I forgot already. Life goes on. So utility light, I believe that's it, a utility light and a chainsaw. Now, I'm talking about a chainsaw just big enough to get you out of your driveway if you have to evacuate. That is something very important. Like, we're living on a hill. Believe they exist in Houston because it was very flat here, and where I'm from, it's very hilly. But it's good to have things that you may have to get off your car. You got to be quick about getting it done. That was something that I had to get used to. I had to accept. Candles weren't working. That was more for the romance. You need stuff, these big old bulky ugly things, and you need to find a place to store them to keep them clean. That's not something you want to look at. I know when you first move into your space, but I do recommend get your survival shovel and make it work, because it's not your forever life. We have to keep reminding ourselves this is not going to be forever. Now, I do have something really cute I want to show you guys. I'll make sure to put it here, however they do it down there. You'll see it. You'll know when it's there. It's something cute that I loved to accept when I first got here. It's something that happened yesterday because, like I said, there's birds don't belong to us, but they love laying their eggs over here, and guess what? I love to eat them. I don't know whose birds they are, but according to rural policy on my land, it's mine. So I let the birds live so they're able to keep producing me with free eggs. Now, we have a big white juicy rabbit that keeps finding its way over here on our property. That's okay. You know, Peter is staying out of my garden right now. He's just eating grass. But the minute he goes over there and starts messing with my plants, I haven't figured out what's eating them. He gonna be on our dinner plate, y'all. And like I said, my husband's from the Caribbean and he knows what to do with those Indian spices. So it's in the best interest, if you're gonna go rural and you want to have all these pets, that you keep them confined. Otherwise, you're going to accept that they're gonna be mine. So I hope you enjoyed this conversation. I would love to hear your feedback of what you had a hard time accepting, or even an easy time. What was your acceptance? What was it like? The bathroom situations was another tricky one for me, but I really am curious of what other people had to accept in this new lifestyle, especially if you are from another country, environment, cities, wherever, that this made it weird and had to get used to. So I hope you stick around. I do have more ideas coming up. Like I said, I have this cute video I want to show you about some birds that ended up on the property. No, I didn't eat them or anything like that, but I'm not opposed to, if you over here and you doing damage, I'm a shoot you a video called Rural Justice. You know how they say street justice? I want to give you some pointers on rural justice. So I have lots of ideas and I want to share them with you, and I hope that you're, entertained and enjoying it. Yeah, so enjoy the rest of your week, and I hope you have a great weekend as well. I'll see you later. Bye.